Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are feeling Christmassy. We're getting closer to the time.
Colder.
Not quite December just yet. Not quite December just yet, but we are getting there. I'm joined by two Christmassy kind of guys. Dean Critchley and Michael McCubbin. Boys, how are you doing?
Yeah, I look like a plucked turkey, don't I, most of the time?
Not quite what I was thinking. Sure thing.
I'm all good, yeah. Sorry, I forgot my podcast stand, so I will be holding the mic. But other than that, I'm very well. It's good to see you fine, gentlemen.
Yeah.
McCubbs, you okay?
Hopefully you'll be dropping the mic at some point.
Yeah, we've actually got quite a fiery episode, I think.
We do have a fiery episode.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm not feeling Christmassy yet, but there are some Christmas decorations kind of, set up around here. In fact, there's a Christmas tree that hasn't been decorated in here yet. So that shows what kind of time of year we're in. They're thinking about it, but yeah.
All in good time.
I saw Clubhouse 5 were hosting some Thanksgiving NFL.
Yes, they were.
Night.
Yes, they were.
On all their stories, it was loads of lads down here eating their wings, watching the Dallas Cowboys.
That's a good segue. Yes, of course, we are shooting here at Clubhouse 5. If you guys want to watch any sport in the world, then come down to Clubhouse 5, just off of Leicester Square. They are fantastic. Got about 28 different screens, so all showing different sports. It's very good, and they're lovely people, so make sure you watch your sport here. As you can see by the episode, we're doing a really feisty one. World class or not world class, ranking the Premier League's best players. Now, the way this is going to work, we're going to go through your suggestions of players who you think are world class and aren't world class, and debate whether we think they are or are not. Now, before we get into that, I think we need to have a little bit of a conversation about what world class is, because some people think maybe it is the best kind of level you can reach, whereas others may think it's not quite that. And what are the rules and stipulations that we need to, or a player needs to have to achieve that status? So firstly, I went on to Google. I did a bit of Googling and found the definition of world class. Not really that hard, but I thought I'd say it out anyway.
Well, their definition, yeah.
Exactly, and it says a person who is among the best in the world.
Quite simple.
Very simple, I thought, as well. I was actually expecting a little bit better for that. And I think, look...
Among the best in the world at what they do, not just the best person in the world.
no, that's also a part of it as well. But yes, okay, so I think that we can use into this as well. But what it does also show is that I don't think you can have a big group of world-class players per position, right?
Yeah.
So how do we want to look at this? Do we want to say that you can only have 5 maybe maximum in the
whole
world class?
list?
Not on the whole list. I think it depends.
Five in a position.
Yeah. So
I tend to be quite lenient with world class. I mean, like,
Oh, really?
Is it? Also, I think it's a bit of a like not to set up this this show in a bad way. It's a bit of a bullshit term, I think, in some ways. But I tend to be I would say like top 5. Some people would say like top 2 or 3. But I would say I would go for top 5 because also it's a very it can also change as well. A player can go from being world class to not world class just because they've had a bad couple of months, which I don't tend to take too much into account. I like to look at how a player has generally performed over the course of time. Well, I'm a bit of a form is temporary, class is permanent kind of guy when it comes to something like this.
Okay, nice.
That would be my perspective on it. So just because someone's having a great season right now, can we call them world class? It's they could be approaching that. That would be the way I approach it.
Okay, so one of your stipulations is that it's over a long period of time rather than the short term.
Or if we have the confidence that if they're having that we've seen enough now that we're they're just going to absolutely smash.
They're going to consist that. Okay. Whereas Digger, you were saying beforehand, actually you're quite strict about world class.
I think I am maybe a little bit stricter than Mikey's definition. I think you need consistency, as Mikey says. I think you need to be performing at a world-leading level for a consistent amount of time. I think basically you need to be wanted. If you're on the market, you need to be wanted by every club in the world, like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man City, etc. They'd want you in their squad. And I think, it almost comes down to a little bit of aesthetics as well. There needs to be a sort of feeling around it. It's not just being the best player for, as you say, for a week, for a month. It's the way you make people feel about football as well, I think slightly comes into it.
The intangibles. The
intangibles, which is very difficult to argue. But let's see how we get on. I mean, this basically started because there was Tom Garrett of Pitchside podcast this week put out a tweet saying he didn't think Bukayo Saka was world class. And it was fantastic international break content, when everyone's just looking for something to argue about. And Arsenal fans erupted, and it was brilliant to watch. That's how it started.
That's a serious piece of engagement.
Well, let's kick things off then with Bukayo Saka. This one as well came at the suggestion of @eldhove123. Thank you for sending in your suggestion. If you guys want to get involved, make sure you're following us on social media. And Bukayo Saka, still very, very young. Someone who I think does fit the category of being consistent and looking to even get better and better over time. Is he world class?
He is for me. Because, yes, he doesn't have that much experience in the Champions League. And to be considered... Was that
where...
Well, no. I remember putting a tweet out in the summer, which Arsenal fans again got annoyed about, being like, Rice isn't at the level of a Rodri or a Kimmich yet because he hasn't even played in the Champions League. He hasn't dominated the Champions League in the way that those other two have. Like... He can be the best in the world in his position, but he's not quite there. Now, I would probably say Rice is world class as well, but he's not the best in the world. That was my point. Anyway, with Saka, it's a similar sort of thing. Like, he's probably not the best in the world just yet in his position, because obviously Mo Salah also exists. But he's definitely on the path. The way he's dominated international tournaments, he's had a very good World Cup, he's had an exceptional Euros, and he has been operating at world-leading level or close to world-leading level pretty much since his debut for Arsenal in a number of different positions. And he's now become super, super consistent as well. Taking Arsenal through really bad patches. He's dominated in bad teams. He's now dominating a very good team that is hoping to win trophies over the next couple of years. And I kind of back them too.
Yeah, I think it would be kind to say that he's been operating at world league level since his Arsenal debut.
Maybe not since his debut.
But I think also the intelligence that he showed to be able to perform in a number of different positions was a very promising early sign. And now he's on course to hit double figures for goals in the Premier League from the right wing for the third season running. Like, that's pretty top. Like, only Leroy Sané has received more progressive passes in Europe's top 5 leagues this year. Like, he's at that level. And would you say like Leroy Sané is performing at a world-class level this season? Like, absolutely. Yeah. Like, Leroy Sané has arguably been better than Harry Kane for Bayern Munich this season. And Saka is like at least at his level. Like, people like saying that he's had like the early weeks of the season, they're saying, "Oh, Bukayo Saka's not quite at his best." Like, he's hitting like the best numbers of his career in terms of like expected goals and assists. Like, he's already got 4 goals and 4 assists. That's in a quiet year for a 22-year-old. And I think, by virtue of the right wing position, if we're doing it kind of position by position, not being as strong as it perhaps was 5-10 years ago, Bukayo Saka is right up there. And like, after Salah, and also he's a different kind of player to Saka, like, going by Doogie, like, would Real Madrid want Saka? Yes. Like, would Man City want Saka? Yes. Like, in another era where Arsenal didn't have money, we were still paying off the Emirates, Saka would have been absolutely gone by now. He'd be at Man City, or he'd be, at a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona. Like, absolutely.
Or any club that's challenging. Like, if Arsenal weren't in the conversation, it's not a disrespect to his loyalty. He'd have just had... No. He'd probably had his head turned.
Yeah, and Arsenal are genuinely one of the best teams in the world right now.
He's at that level. He could play for any team in the world.
I think that's a very good point. One of the things you mentioned there, I think we've obviously got a lot of names, so we might have to go through them quite quickly as well. But one of the things you mentioned there that I think is very interesting, and actually something that we've kind of debated for probably what is now 5 years or so, is you said about trophies. I remember Sam's argument years ago about Harry Kane was Harry Kane at the time. And this is probably what, 2018? 2018. That Harry Kane wasn't world class because he hadn't won trophies.
He does now admit he was wrong.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. But even at the time.
I just thought it's a nice segue to talk about what level of trophies, like Saka has won the FA Cup, the Community Shield. But what level of trophies does that make you world class? Well, or does it have that much of an impact?
I don't think it necessarily does, because...
Or can it solidify?
Because you can have, Alan Shearer didn't win any trophies with Newcastle for 10 years. And like, people, like, he was absolutely world class at the time, top Premier League goal scorer of all time. Like, I think trophies can be very deceiving, and if you happen to play for a club that hasn't got to that level yet, like, I don't know, like, if Man City weren't, like Pep's Man City, and obviously this is hypothetical, because if Man City weren't Pep's Man City, then Arteta probably wouldn't be the level of manager that he is right now. So, like, you can go on, but still, Arsenal challenged a brilliant Man City team almost until the last day of the season last year. I know it fell off towards the end. Like Liverpool didn't win the Premier League until 2020, and Salah was easily world class for like at least 2 years before that. So I think the trophies thing is probably the most deceiving thing, because like you do have amazing players who play for clubs that have just missed out, or like in the case of Kane, like Spurs, who were in decline during some of his best years.
And exactly, some players can't get moves as well during those summers. I think that's a very good way to put
Foden
that.
winning 5 Premier League titles, is he 5 times the player of Bukayo Saka? Steven Gerrard never won a Premier League title. Like trophies are a part of it, I think, but they're not the key part.
Very true. Okay, the next suggestion comes from @Sean15 McKenzie, and he said Bruno Guimaraes.
No.
I think that was a quite quick no.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's world leading or close to world leading as an 8. I don't think he's close to world leading as a 6. He's a very good player. I mean, we'll talk about so many players on this list that are in this conversation for a reason. Like he's been performing at an exceptional level, particularly for Newcastle. I think he's. I was listening to a podcast on the way in today. He's never really performed at his true level for Brazil. And Casemiro is probably, when still fit, is probably the main man in that midfield, or at least in that deeper lying midfield zone. I think he's been really, really good for Newcastle, but they've been slightly found out on occasion, particularly in the Champions League. He's looked a little bit overrun at times. He's not, I don't think, a natural sitter, and he's not a world-leading number 8 either. There's Bernardo Silva, there's De Bruyne, there's, Valverde, Modric, whoever you want to talk about.
He's up against a lot tougher players.
Yeah, sure.
The midfield
so competitive.
Is such a competitive thing. Do you think he can, because he is young, do you think he can achieve world-class status?
Why not? I think he's got the attributes to, but I think he's probably slightly hamstrung in that he is a little bit of an in-between player. He's a bit of a jack of all trades, but like as a passer, like he is right up there, I think. But also it's one of those ones where he's fulfilled a number of different roles for Newcastle. Like when he first came in, he was a bit of a goal scorer. He was playing a lot more advanced. Now he has been hamstrung a little bit by the fact that this season we've probably not seen him at his best, just because the Newcastle midfield has been a bit swamped with injuries. Yeah. And circumstantial things like the Tonali situation. So he's not been playing in a particularly settled side. And I think he's probably not having as good a season as last season for sure. But regardless of that, I think there's just too much competition in that position. I think we may get onto him because I think he was another suggestion. But has Bruno Guimaraes been as good as Douglas Luiz this season, for example? No, he hasn't. And would I consider Douglas Luiz world class? No.
Okay. So, no, fair enough. This one's going to be interesting because I think he is. And this one comes from @Vegan
Martinez.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting name. Bruno Fernandes. It's pronounced Fernandes. Confirmed.
Very nice Portuguese
pronunciation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's weird. Has he only just confirmed that after?
Well, the video of that Premier League thing went out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it is that." Yeah. That guy on TikTok was right. Bruno Fernandes. Is he world class? I think he is. And it's a bit of a crazy. I think considering where Manchester United are at the moment, he at times is getting a lot of the blame for things going wrong for United. Yeah. But he's also normally
the guy that rescues them.
Yeah, the guy that rescues him, the guy that creates so many chances for them. He's in the top 1% for progressive passes with 7.6 per 90.
Which is mad for an attacking midfielder.
I think he's somebody that's actually kind of been a bit screwed due to the situation of the club that he's at. You talk about, I think it's actually a very good way to put it, of would every club in the world be after him if his services were available? And I think yes. I think Bruno Fernandes is somebody that people would look to go and get.
Real Madrid have a very deep midfield, but yes.
Generally, maybe one club might not due to they.
Also, he's a bit older as well, so would he be? But generally speaking, would most clubs take?
They definitely. It's another position that is also got a lot of competition. Obviously, Odegaard at Arsenal's been fantastic as well. Yeah. But this is a guy who consistently does do it.
He's got world-class output, but is he consistent enough month to month? Or maybe he's just not at his consistent best at the moment. In his first 18 months at Man United, he was remarkably consistent,
but he's still been Man United's best player this season.
I agree.
Is that not because of the team he's in?
It's difficult, isn't it? I don't know.
Do we discredit the player a bit because of the team they're playing in?
And I think he would be considered world class if Man City had signed him, and he'd been there for 3.5 years or however long he's been there. But it is difficult. I think he is. He doesn't also have the best record in big games as well. But Man United are also weaker than their top 6 rivals at the moment as well. So it's very difficult. I find him. I don't know whether he's just below world class for me. Actually.
I think he's been pretty good in big games. For maybe like in big games that United have lost, he has gone missing a little bit. But then in big games that United have won, he's tended to be at the centre of that. He's kind of on the cusp. But I think what's hard to argue is his record over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like he has got an incredible record over the last 4 or 5 years. He was the Premier League's 3rd top scorer in 2021, which is pretty remarkable given that he's never played that advanced. He's never really been playing as like a second striker or anything. Like he just does have that amazing output. I think where Bruno Fernandes, where his reputation has maybe fallen, or what holds him back a little bit in the public eye, is that he is like a high volume, high risk passer. Like he completes nearly 60 passes a game, which for someone as high, like who plays as high up as him, and in a team like Man United, which is not necessarily a super high possession side compared to like some of their Premier League rivals, is a lot. And he only has a 71% pass accuracy because he is always trying things. So like, in that sense, I think that's where the inconsistency lies, is that he's always trying those through balls. He's always trying balls into the box. And that's why he's so productive. But also it does mean that we see him, we see a lot of stray balls from him. Having said that, his expected goals and assists per 90 this year is 0.63.
That's really
which is
good.
that's the second lowest of his Man United career.
Wow.
And it's still amazing. Like Bukayo Saka, that I was saying just before, he's like hitting the best numbers of his career in that sense, and his is at 0.66 this season. So Bruno is operating in terms of productivity in a much worse team than Arsenal, almost at the level of Bukayo Saka, and this is one of his not as good seasons. So like I think that's where I think I would say he just about gets in, just because his base level is still brilliant.
Yeah.
Like and United's attack, we've scored 13 goals this season in the league. 13 goals. We've got a -3 goal difference. Like United going forward have been poor, and also Rashford's probably been a little bit unlucky. Like his XG is quite high, so he's just not been hitting the target, or he's like been forcing good saves. So like United probably should maybe have a bit more, but like generally speaking, United have been pretty poor going forward, and yet Fernandes is still operating at that level.
This isn't necessarily solely to do with Fernandes, but how much does the international stage play a part in this as well? Because some players, they're international.
He's been great for Portugal.
The country that represent. Yeah, it's more just something that popped into my mind at the time. There are some countries where, obviously we might get onto him, Erling Haaland later on, where he's not even qualified for the Euros.
Yeah. Again, it's harsh,
Where
I
does
think.
that you think it's quite harsh to judge them
well,
on stuff like that?
With someone like Haaland, it is harsh, I think. And someone like Odegaard as well, because I would consider Odegaard's probably around that level as well. Again, it's like the trophies thing. I think it's like, you can't control where you're born, and you can't expect, someone like Mo Salah, even though, Egypt got to the AFCON final, largely down to him. They've consistently not qualified for World Cups, or 2018 World Cup. They performed pretty poorly, all in all. Are not a great side to watch. Again, I think it's quite harsh. Like I think again, also maybe we're discounting Bruno Guimaraes just because he hasn't played for a European Titan yet. But also, like Diggy says, he's still pretty young and has a lot of growing to do. So again, I think that's quite harsh. But again, it's like you have to kind of look at it on a.
It's contextual, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
you have to
contextual
look at it
case by case basis.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, then let's move on to our next one that comes from Serie A Scout.
Have we decided, did we decide there on Bruno Fernandes? Or we just
Bruno
agreed to
Fernandes,
disagree? I think he's just about world class.
I think he's world class.
I think he's on the cusp.
Okay, well, let us know what you guys think of Bruno in the comments below. Is he world class or is he not world class? Because that is definitely up for debate. Our next one, then, as I said, comes from Serie A Scout. And very simply he's put Rodri. I think this takes us 5 seconds.
100%.
He
Yeah.
might be the most world-class player in his position.
Yeah, he's exceptional. He's clearly the best in his position. He's just a physical, absolute animal. His height, just the way he manipulates the ball, the way he controls the tempo of that team. You saw when he missed a couple of games earlier this season, the effect it has on Man City. probably hasn't hit the heights he could have with Spain, but he's had to play at centre-back at times for Spain, pops up with clutch goals, big moments, not least in a Champions League final, big goal against Chelsea a few weeks ago, although they then ended up making a mistake, which led to the draw. But he's been brilliant for a number of years. And people forget that he had a difficult first 6 months at Man City. And since the way he's recovered from that, it's been remarkable, and he's quite clearly world class.
He's always younger than I think he is as well. Like, he looks like he's like 31.
Yeah. He plays like a 31-year-old.
Yeah, he's exceptional. Okay, then moving on to another one. Is this player world class? And Abde number 5 has said Thiago Alcantara.
No.
Yeah, I think quite simply, no.
World class level.
Do you think he was world class?
Yes. At Bayern Munich, he was
when
easily top 5 midfielders in the world.
Back in 2019.
We'll probably get into it with other players, but fitness is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You can't be world class on the bench.
Saying the best ability is availability.
Exactly. Yeah.
Joe Tomlinson always says that, doesn't he? When he's arguing at Neymar's crap. He doesn't actually say that. But
I saw a game of Thiago, which is still maybe one of the best performances live I've ever seen. Mine's probably like a Lionel Messi, but was him versus Chelsea. And the classic saying of like, oh, he's a quarterback player in football. And I'd never quite understood it properly until I'd seen this performance where he would just drop into between the centre backs, pick up the ball, spray these passes, or go on a ridiculous dribble, or pick the perfect 1-2, and just really keep a side ticking over and creating opportunities like there's no tomorrow. During that period, he really was.
Yeah.
But has he ever been for Liverpool?
No. Brief patches, maybe.
I think there were
the odd game, but
yeah.
I think he had the potential, if he'd had better fitness record, to be rivaling Kevin De Bruyne, or at least in the top 5 in his position in the world. Like, he does have that sort of ability.
Yeah, he was.
He was probably at top 5 already when he was fit and available. It's just sad how his career's panned out, because he kind of took himself away from Barcelona. He hasn't achieved as much as he should have with Spain. His fitness has kind of let him down. But in terms of raw natural ability, he was clearly world class at one stage. But right now, no.
He was so if it wasn't for if Xavi and Iniesta just didn't happen to be at their peak at that time, he would have been. He probably would still be at Barcelona now, let's face it, and would have dominated that midfield for years. Like, he was in that mould. And he was quite an attacking midfielder when he first came about, and then at Bayern Munich was transformed into this absolute behemoth. Was
that by Pep?
Yeah, by Pep. Yeah. Well, but by Pep, and then who took over from Pep? Was it Ancelotti? But
he
kind of carried that. I think there was a point where he was making something like 6 tackles and interceptions a game for Bayern Munich, for like a Bayern Munich side that kept 70% possession in games, and was also an orchestrator. And was also a great, a bit of a master of the second assist. He was operating at such a high level. Easily was like top 4 or 5 midfielders overall, including defensive midfielders, attacking midfielders.
He hasn't started a game since February.
Hasn't started a game since February. He was I think he was operating at a world-class level in that 21-22 season. He was really quite key to Liverpool's title challenge that year. Probably their best midfielder that year. And also didn't make Spain's World Cup squad. Hasn't really been used in Spain's setup for a number of years. Definitely was once world class, but sadly the injuries.
Only started over 20 league games twice. In a season.
That's bad. That is bad. But
he's there are some players they just get plagued by injury, doesn't it, and it ruins their career. Let's move on.
Well, it hasn't ruined it. He has still achieved a lot, but
sure, but takes them from a place where they were going up like this and drops them down very quickly. Let's move on to our next one from my alternative account. Keep the blue flag flying high 2023 has suggested.
Is that what it stands for? I would have never guessed.
Of course, Zach knows what that means.
Right. His actual name is Kate. Exactly. They've suggested Thiago Silva.
Go on, Zach.
I think let's do this.
Is he
short
world
and
class
sweet.
now?
No. For a 39-year-old, probably. No, but he is.
He
not.
might be the best 39-year-old playing. So
exactly.
Do we count that now?
No, he's world leading for his age.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't think he is world class. That's for sure. We'll probably get onto some other centre backs later on. Tyler Smith Sport has. There is a lot of players as well. If you can see why I'm trying to
go over that one.
Dominic Szoboszlai.
Not yet,
but he will be.
I think he will.
I think it's fair enough. Yeah, I think that's a fair enough.
I think he's
assumption.
seriously exciting. I don't think he's got the credit he deserves for his start at Liverpool, to be honest. And mainly because the goals and assists haven't been quite up there.
I don't know, man. I think Liverpool fans in the
wider footballing community, I think he's gone under the radar. I think he's been absolutely exceptional.
I think Liverpool. I think Liverpool fans have almost over-egged it a little bit, but I understand because like he is like aesthetically like, amazing to watch, and like he's just so exciting. Like his numbers. Even his underlying numbers aren't quite there yet, I don't think, but like he is.
I've got a WhatsApp group with some mates that we play fantasy football with. Anyway, we were doing a composite Man City Liverpool 11, and both Liverpool fans were trying to argue that Dominic Szoboszlai should be in over Bernardo Silva, and I said, whoa, slow down there, guys. But seriously, he could be really special.
He's Gerrard and Coutinho rolled into one.
Yeah,
he's right there.
His work rate's really underrated.
His defensive work rate this year has been really, really strong. That partnership we built with Trent has been fantastic to see. But okay, no is the answer. Well, not yet is the main answer. The next one comes from Aiden1874, and he has suggested, we mentioned him earlier, Douglas Luiz.
No.
Again, simple, no.
Playing really well, massive respect to him. And like, given that he was sold by Man City, and I think there was a buyback in it for a while until they took it out. But, you know, one of those Man City Academy graduates, and, you know, goes to Villa, does well for a few years, but sort of not really establishing himself as like a Premier League leader in his position. But now he looks like one of the best in his position. At least this season, he's been sensational.
Also, like, you do have to give credit to him because he had a really difficult first year. Like, he was a bit of a liability. And that first year, when Aston Villa, you know, stayed up by virtue of goal line technology not working against Sheffield United, like, he was a bit of a liability. Like, I think he was their main six and basically didn't do any defending. He just didn't defend really. And that was probably because he wasn't being used in the correct way. Whereas now he's actually got a defensive midfielder next to him. Like, because he's not really a DM, Douglas Luiz. Like, he is really he's a ball playing midfielder. Has never had like particularly high defensive numbers. Like now he looks fantastic as a result of like just the midfield around him being like a lot better structured.
I remember Pat putting him, I think it was Pat, or was it yourself who put him in the worst team of the year?
I did, yeah.
I think of that year.
It was a little bit harsh. Yeah,
people were not happy.
It got really, I got a lot of stick for that. Like that's when I realised how angry Aston Villa fans could get online, and actually how strong the Aston Villa community is online. But to be fair, I do remember that, and we did the team of the season. I think we wrote it maybe a couple of weeks before the end of the season, when Aston Villa were still looking like they could go down. I think they only stayed up on the last day of the season, actually. And Douglas Luiz did really improve in those final weeks of the season, but overall that season he was still a liability. I will stick by that, but Villa did turn it on in those last few games.
God, writing those 11s was hell.
Yeah, I'd always
someone would always voice at the end being like, those are the thoughts of TD Christian. Thank you.
I'd always try and like draft Pat, just suggest that Pat would write them, because Pat would always take joy in writing them. I've never been a particular fan of
sometimes put in controversial picks though, just for like, because he liked the chaos.
And that's the beauty of him. That's the beauty of him.
Okay,
on to our next player then, from Sandman Blue 15. And this is actually quite an interesting one. Son Heung-min. Are we looking at him as a striker now?
Oh, this is a tough one.
He's not world class as a striker, I don't think. But he has been world class. If we're looking at consistency,
I think he is.
He's probably got to be included on consistency. If it's like, would any team in the world want him? I think he probably is world class.
Yeah. Would Real Madrid have wanted Son, before Vinicius Jr. became like the player he is right now in the last couple of years? Would Real Madrid have taken Son, like at any point, like in the last 5 or 6 years? Like I think they would. I mean,
10 plus league goals for 7 years in a row.
Yeah,
peaking at 23.
Playing second fiddle to Harry Kane in that time. He's always been a world-class finisher.
Yeah.
Even last year, down year, finished with 10 league goals.
Isn't he over his carear, like nearly 40 goals above his expected goals or something like that?
A remarkable finisher and so consistent and rarely injured as well. Yeah. The only thing is the sort of trophy argument, I suppose, but can you discount him? I mean, him and Kane would have been wanted by any club, I think, at any point, really.
Arguably the greatest player to ever come out of Asia, the best Asian player ever.
But is he?
And that's a big continent, a huge continent.
And I think if you ask, is he world class now? I feel like that's maybe where the question.
I don't know.
He's got
there's a lot of left wingers. There's a lot of left wingers I'd choose ahead of him right now, but then they are 5, 6, 7 years younger than him.
And he's still got 8 goals this season from 4.5 XG.
it's
outrageous. So,
But like you'd have Mbappe, you'd have probably Leao, you'd have Vinicius Junior, you'd have Kavisha ahead of him.
But it's too much. Yeah,
I don't know if I would have Kavisha ahead of him. Like, I don't know if I would.
If I was buying one, I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
such
If I
different
would-
ages.
I think the
Age
age
thing,
argument doesn't go.
But
into
who is
this.
ahead, Kavisha or Son? I think it's quite tight. Probably Son. Probably Son.
I think Son way more consistent. If you think that Son's down year was last year, Kavicha had like the season of his life last year, and he's incredibly young. But Kavicha still had quite a quiet last 5 months of the season in a better team than Tottenham at the time.
And even Rafa Leao is not as consistent as
No.
Son. To be fair, the only two players that are more consistent than him are probably Mbappe and Vinicius has probably got more star quality.
And Son, if Son really should have been signed by a bigger club. It was always a bit of a mystery, wasn't it? Why more super
I think they
clubs
got him
never
down
came?
to a big contract quite early.
Yeah.
I think.
I think
Remember?
it's
Did he
worth-
sign for like 6 years after like 1 or 2 years?
But I'm still surprised. That no absolute
Behemoth.
no elite clubs like seriously tried to make a move for him at all. Like I think if anything, he's just been perennially underrated throughout his career.
Yeah, I think world class is definitely the answer. Yes, for Son Heung-min. An interesting one from MCFC Joe. Ederson.
I don't think
Ederson
most Man
world
City
class?
fans would say he's world class. To be honest, I don't think he is. He's definitely a world class distributor. He's world class.
But that is part of the goalkeeping.
He's world class in
but
facets, but like his save percentage hasn't been above 70% for the last 3 seasons.
But is he
He's
necessarily
underperformed
needed
his
for his
XG,
save percentage at
but he's
Man City?
underperformed his post-shot XG for the last 3 seasons as well by minus 5.7.
If we're doing it by the 5 rule,
Top 5, yeah.
Alisson, Courtois,
Magnon.
to Stegen,
Mike Maignan, to Stegen.
I feel like we're missing someone obvious. Or Black.
Is Ederson? I mean,
They're such different keepers, aren't they?
but Ederson brings into it. Ederson
Oblak
was
is-
the perfect keeper for Man City.
Oblak
for the
has
last
achieved
5
a higher
seasons.
level over the like an individual season than Ederson.
I just think I know we said about the trophy argument and stuff like that. I do get it, but like if Oblak is in goal for Man City, are they as effective?
No, but this is,
So does that not?
he is world.
Tough.
I think he's world class. I think Ederson is world class.
Really?
I do.
I think
I
he
get
was
your
quite
argument.
poor
I
last
get your
year.
argument, and I do think he had a down year last year, and like his save percentage, like his shot stopping ability, has always had question marks about him, and he's sometimes a little bit rash. But he has also allowed Man City to do what they do.
I don't know whether we're sort of mixing up unique and world class though. Like he's got unique abilities, but I don't know whether that makes him world class.
Would every team in the world want to buy him?
I don't think so. Like, would he be so successful at Man United?
I think it'd be probably better than Onana.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're world class though. But
But Onana was considered in the top 5 keepers in the world last year.
I think,
Like-
considering how long he's done this for now as well for Man City, I think he is world class.
I feel like we're missing out a keeper here. I'm just like racking my brains. I feel like there's another top keeper out there that we're not talking
Manuel
about.
Neuer, I guess, once he's now back from injury,
nah.
but
No, I think he's.
he's
not
obviously
Gregor
had
Kobel,
injuries.
not Sommer.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
not.
he's world class.
Yeah.
I think he's world class.
It's an interesting. What do you guys
Bonu.
think? I think that's
I think
another one
he's-
to
yeah.
put to the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I don't
contentious
feel
one.
particularly strong about it. I just wouldn't have him world class at the moment.
He's not top
Ederson-
3. He's not top 3.
Ederson, is he world class? Let us know in the comments below. I'm going to say yes, he is. Another very quick one, the football space, Mohamed Salah.
It's like Rodri,
Or
absolutely.
Salah, depending on how you want to say it. Yes,
Definitely,
absolutely.
yeah, I don't need to discuss
Freak of
really.
nature, best in his position.
I did quite like the point that he's 11th now on the all-time Premier League goal scoring charts.
Yeah.
And he's just under 40 goals behind Andy Cole, who's 4th. So he could end up 4th.
He definitely will.
Hopefully he doesn't leave at the end of this year. I do want him to.
That is the big question mark.
I do want him to.
Move
He'll still be
Saudi
world class if he
Arabia
moves
come
there,
back
but
in?
I just want him to stay.
thing is, I think with the Saudi Pro League carries on its
He
current
can-
trajectory. We're just
He
going
can-
2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He
Ben
can.
misses a game as well. Bruno Fernandes-esque fitness.
Another one from the football space. Kyle Walker. Is he world class? Again, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think probably
Consistency
just
as
about,
well.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for over a decade now. He did it at
Yeah.
Spurs.
Also,
where
the
he was
stylistic change and
fantastic.
Villa as well. The stylistic change he's undergone. He was a flying fullback.
Yeah, he was.
And like completely different to what he is now, which is like a sort of
Been-
sweeper, possession orientated.
Been really strong on the
Yeah.
international stage as well for
Yeah,
England.
3 excellent tournaments. Euros team of the tournament. He was in the Champions League team.
Would
team
every
of the
team in
tournament
the
last
world
year.
want him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yes.
Does
Bayern
he
Munich
win
were
every
desperate to
trophy?
sign him at
Yeah.
33.
At 33.
Like,
Sinov Cancelo, probably one of the most naturally talented fullbacks that can play on both sides that we've seen in the last 5 years.
Cancelo is literally like on form. Cancelo is the best fullback, full stop. I think in world football, and
Fair.
Carl Walker. Like I don't know, am I missing someone there? I think Cancelo is, and Carl Walker like has held his own. there. Although
again, would any team want him? Yeah, as you already said, I think Real Madrid, if he was slightly younger, would have wanted him over Carvajal.
Yeah, definitely.
I do think his attacking numbers have let him down a bit, and not let him down, but in this argument.
But has he not? Do you not think, especially over the last year or so, Pep has kind of
yeah,
pulled him back?
He has, and like City have become like.
And he's played centre back.
City have like become more defensive, like in the last year or so.
4 assists in the last 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I think. But then we can't like. Do we just say like everyone at Man City is world class? I think that's like the Ederson thing. It's like if you say Ederson's world class, do we just say everyone in that thing in that team is world class?
I think in terms of Kyle Walker, he is.
I think he is, but maybe only just. Like I do think his attacking output has lacked, and maybe that's a stylistic thing. But like. He is also like 33.
But who would you want if you were starting a Dream 11 right now? Who would be the best right back in the world?
Hakimi's pretty up there, isn't he? Like
definitely in a right wing back.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think probably Kyle Walker's definitely within a shout.
I'd probably have Kyle Walker as the most consistent, like all round.
Yeah, doesn't really. It's picked up a few more injuries.
I might have a fully fit Reece James, but that's another debate.
Okay, well,
Trent's
let us know what you think of Kyle Walker. True, Trent's a good shout. Of Kyle Walker.
Trippier.
I'm going to say yes. I think we have kind of all said yes, that he is world class.
English right backs.
On to Ara Freak. William Saliba. Is he world class?
Is it a bit early? That's my one thing with him.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
definitely he's world class level, I think.
He is world class.
For the last... I think he was underappreciated at Marseille.
And he's only going to get better.
Third brilliant
he's
season.
never really had a bad spell.
He's 22 years old.
I don't even remember that many errors since he's been at Arsenal.
I don't think there have been. Have there?
Maybe one or two,
Not
but
a
like, that's
notable
also
one.
not something that you can discredit a player for. I think he's world class. I think there is the argument, of course, internationally. He's only had 11 caps so far for France, but we also know Didier Deschamps is somebody who's kind of got his team and is actually maybe in an era now where he's starting to get younger players in. I think he's world class. Like the guy last year was a freak, arguably one of the
I think you
best
can
centre-back in the
overcomplicate
league.
it.
I think Diaz actually was.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think he's been, since going to Arsenal, one of the best centre-backs in the world. Probably definitely in the top 5, so that feels like he's world class.
Would every club in the world want him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I think the centre-back position on the whole, bit weak at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that counts in his favour.
Especially if ones that can stay fit.
Like when I was thinking about who is in that bracket, it's like Saliba, Diaz, Van Dijk, and then like two, like, and then you got like De Ligt, who like isn't even he's injured now, but wasn't even getting into the Bayern Munich team. I'd put him in that bracket. And Kim as well. Like they're both at Bayern. Like I can't even like Araujo at Barcelona, I guess as well. But that's the thing. His fitness problems. He's played at right back a lot. Like I guess Militao at Real Madrid is approaching that level, but again, like he's out till the end of the season. So yeah, I think that the centre back quality across Europe is lacking a bit at the moment. We're going through that phase. So like I think Saliba gets in by virtue of that.
Definitely. Okay, then another Arsenal player from Are You Freak, Martin Odegaard.
You guys go first.
Had an amazing season last year. If we're also saying the consistency level is a part of this, had maybe the best 10 in the league last year. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne was one of the best 10s in the league last year, one of the best midfielders. But year before that was touch and go sometimes. Before he had obviously a nice season at Real Sociedad, had a good season at Vitesse before as well. Didn't quite work out at Real Madrid. I don't know if the consistency is just there yet, which feels mental to say right now. And I'm just thinking, if we put Bruno Fernandes in the world-class category, it does feel harsh maybe not to put him in there.
On the basis of last season, yeah. I think...
Didn't qualify for the Euros.
Yeah, but I think that's harsh a bit.
But there is also an argument if you are world-class, which means you're one of the best players in the world, you kind of do need to get your country into these competitions.
Also with Haaland as well. Also Norway just aren't even that bad.
And they've got
on paper they are actually quite good. I don't know how are Slovenia getting into the Euros and Norway aren't. Like,
so this is.
So maybe it does. Maybe it does count against them a little bit. But it's again on a case by case basis. The one thing I would say is that I think maybe with recency bias is playing a little bit of a role. Odegaard's having a bit of a quiet season so far for Arsenal. But until now, I would say he's not really put a foot wrong at Arsenal. When did he originally sign? In 2021, was
Went
it?
on loan
January.
in January 2021.
21. And then 21-22, he was pretty exceptional throughout that season. Last year, most non-penalty expected goals for any midfielder in football in Premier League history.
But how much does
he scored? He was operating at a level from open play, goal scoring wise, better than Frank Lampard ever did, which is like outrageous. Again, just one season, but like the level that he showed last year, like Real Madrid would have absolutely not sold him if they'd
given him a chance.
They knew what level that he was going to get to at Arsenal.
But you understand what we're thinking here.
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
I'm quite glad that Zach said what he said, because I thought I was going to be the only one that thinks he's not quite there yet. To be honest,
I don't know. I feel like it's too harsh to say he's not world class.
Just because I think there are quite a few number 10s that I'd have ahead of him.
Hey,
Musiala, Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, Bellingham if he plays as a 10.
You'd have Bellingham over Odegaard as a 10.
Definitely.
And who did you say just before?
I'd probably have controversial one. I might have Florian Wirtz over Martin Odegaard.
Really? Well, I don't know if I'd do that.
He's really pretty exceptional.
No, he's amazing, but
he just hasn't played at that sort of level just yet.
I do
think this season comes into it though, and I have been disappointed by Odegaard this season. He's obviously had injury issues as well.
I think as a creator, I could not put like Bellingham or even Musiala ahead of Odegaard. I think they're amazing talents, and will probably get to.
Musiala plays in the same position though. I get with Bellingham that he has played deeper lying and he's played as a sort of. I
just see them more as goal scorers. I think as a creative, I don't know.
A goal scorer. Odegaard
you say creative, but Odegaard was what really stood out last year was his goal scoring.
Yeah, his goal scoring was, but yet he was still an elite creator as well. And
I think Odegaard does cut it.
He was so central to that Arsenal team.
I said I've got quite high expectations of world class. I don't think he's quite there yet for me. I think he's very, 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 very good and will be world class almost definitely one day, but he's just not quite there yet for me.
Just so the Arsenal fans don't kill me, yes, he is world class.
They can kill me. I think Saliba and Saka are the world class players in that Arsenal team.
But I think Rice. But if you take Odegaard out, they are a lot worse.
Yeah, but you take Maddison out of Spurs. Does that mean he's world class?
Well, let's maybe hold that one for later on.
Coming up, I think, but I do see your point in that sense. Like Rice has been more important to that midfield this year, and the fact that Rice has been able to has been given license to roam has slightly it has diminished Odegaard's performance importance a lot actually. Rice is taking up kind of Odegaard-esque positions whilst playing as a 6, which is pretty outrageous.
I think
maybe that's just a bit harsh on Odegaard because last season he was the key.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I think the consistency thing is interesting as well. I think you can be inconsistent if you've hit an extremely high level for a number of years beforehand. Eden Hazard had some bad years at Chelsea, but no one for a second thought he wasn't world class, even in those bad moments. Odegaard, I don't think has enough in the bank to have a down period. And it's mid-November. I'm sure he'll get it together this season and be absolutely exceptional. But at the moment, I'm too affected by what I've seen in 12 games.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. I've just checked the list actually. We haven't got him later on, so let's talk about him now very quickly. Maddison, is he world class?
Again,
no.
Is he consistent enough to be world class?
We've seen a very good start to this season, and if he'd done this for an entire season, he'd probably be in the running for Premier League Player of the Year. And then you are getting into that discussion because it does have a lot of exceptional players. I'm not necessarily saying it's got the best players, all of the best players in the world, but it's definitely a very high level. Maddison was great for Leicester last year, side that got relegated, has had injury issues in the past. Again, he's at the same level as me as Odegaard. He's just below world class.
All right, I think that's an interesting one. Again, let us know what you guys think of those two. If you could pick one right now to take for this say this season.
Well,
so say next season.
In which team?
In your dream team.
Oh, Maddison.
I'd pick Odegaard.
Okay, well there you go. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's move on to Master Contender.
Going to be spicy.
Or Master Contender. Kieran Trippier. Is he world class? Kieran Trippier.
I feel like I've said enough controversial things. What do you guys think?
What does that mean? You think he's not then?
I don't think he is. No.
How many English right backs can make this?
Yeah,
can make
how
this
many
bracket?
also, like, world
and like
class as well.
Hakimi, I think Hakimi's up there in the world class category. If you're already saying that a fully fit Reece James is
Is
Kyle
João
Walker
Cancelo.
is, a Trent when he's on form, a João Cancelo. Kieran Trippier has but maybe one of the most consistent players over the last year and has been fantastic at that. But is he world class? I think maybe.
He was also one of Atletico Madrid's best players when he was there.
When they won the league, yeah.
So he has consistency.
I think Trippier and Walker are battling it out to get that fifth or fourth spot.
And I don't think Reece James can count right now.
I think Reece James can count right now. I think Trippier's a little bit underrated just for the fact that he plays for Newcastle, haven't consistently been there, but he's like captained. He's captained He's captained what is actually, on the face of it, a relatively average team that are still very much a work in progress into the Champions League, in a league where getting into the Champions League is probably harder than any other league in Europe. I think I do kind of think he's right up there. Like in terms of his performances over the last 2 years, like in terms of his leadership, his defensive output, and his attacking output, like most notably. Like his ability from dead ball situations, like he kind of is the full package, Kieran Trippier, and to be doing that at that age in a really physical league, I think is pretty remarkable. Like I think he's right. Like he's on the cusp for sure. Like I think I think if you look at him and Kyle Walker's performances over the last 2 years, I don't think there's much to choose between them.
I'd happily say he's world class. I think
again he's on the. I think we're just. I don't know. I think it's generous. To be honest, I think it's generous.
If you do it by the top 3 players,
unlike someone like Martin Odegaard or James Maddison or whatever, he's got a lot of legs in the bank. As I was talking about, he's 33. He's excelled for Atletico Madrid. He's been brilliant for Newcastle. But was he ever league leading at Spurs? I'm not sure. I mean and he was there until he was like 27, 28. Which slightly counts against him, maybe. I think this is his first
stage.
He scored a free kick in the World Cup semi-final.
A world-class season at Atletico Madrid and a world-class last 18 months at Newcastle. I do think he's been slightly poor in the Champions League this season, to be honest. But again,
small sample size.
He's got enough in the bank that shouldn't count. For me, again, I think I'm much harsher than you guys. I think he's slightly below world class.
I think that maybe what counts against him as an old player, he hasn't actually full stop had that much champion, or at least I don't know. He has had a decent amount of Champions League
final.
He did, yeah. He has actually. Yeah, true. Actually, yeah. I forget, but I just can't actually remember how. To be honest, it's just my memory. I can't remember how pivotal he was in Tottenham's run to that final. But he still was part of a team that made his Champions League final. Yeah, but I'm going. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Again, let us know what you think of Trippier.
The next few are very easy.
I'm actually going to blast through the next through. Marcus Stowe, Erling Haaland.
Yes.
Mars Contender, Ruben Diaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alisson from Joey C.
Absolutely.
Probably the best in the world. Van Dijk from Himon Blaugrana.
Yes. Yeah. Especially the fact that he's like operating near his best level again.
He's been brilliant this year. Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What? Is he fit? No, he is world class. But are we gonna? What happens to his fitness now? Like, is this going to be a consistent thing?
I think he's played quite a lot of games.
Like, I mean, he was pretty much best player in the league.
He is world class. Like, I just wonder how long of an injury or an outage is it then you drop from that level? If that makes sense.
He'd need to retire.
But yeah, that's the thing. He's had so many long spells out. Over the last few years.
It's a discussion for best midfielder of. I think he's in the top 10 midfielders potentially of all time.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm just wondering, like, if say he comes back, I think it's another long-term injury within 3 games. Yeah. But I guess that's hyperbolic.
But even with his injuries, I actually did it. I was looking at this yesterday in preparation for this. He's averaged 15 assists per season since he was 17.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Even with injuries, with whole campaigns, with 6 month spells out, he's been incredible.
Yeah. No, I do. Again, I was playing a little bit of devil's advocate. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, back into maybe there's a bit more debate. I mean, not really, because this is probably quite an easy no from FPL monitor Lucas Paqueta.
No.
Having a solid season and had a solid season last year, but definitely not on the level yet.
Yeah.
Can he?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I think the level that the level that he showed at Lyon and the level that he's shown at points for West Ham is really, really impressive. And I think he probably just because he plays for a team that like may not even get into finish in the top 10 in the Premier League this season. I know, like I was saying before, like, you know, you can't necessarily be you know, downgraded as a result of just playing for a team that isn't, you know, one of the best. But like, there's, you know,
there's an also level you kind of have to be at.
And to be fair, like Man City wanted him in the summer. Like he could be at that level, but yeah, he's not top 5 players in this position, is he?
Yes. Okay, then Luis Diaz from Bold Lion K11. I think especially the left wing position in football is compared to the right wing.
So many injury issues as well.
I think he definitely has world class ability. Like, I think in terms of a player to watch, especially when Liverpool signed him in that January 2022, and then he was really essential to Liverpool going, like, almost winning a quadruple. Let's remember that season. He was electric in big games against Man City in the semi-final of the FA Cup, I seem to remember. Like, he was maybe the best player on the pitch. Like, it looked like at that point, I was like, Liverpool, like, he just looked like the perfect Mane replacement. Like, I don't know. I think Luis Diaz, and I know like Liverpool fans maybe overrate it a little bit with him as well, but I see it. Like, I think Luis Diaz, if he hadn't had the injury issues that he's had over the last 18 months, like, we might be talking about him at that level. I think. Like, I've seen him hit like Rafa Leao level. Like Vinicius Junior, maybe not, but probably not, but. I don't know, I think he's got the qualities to be world class.
I think it's a fair enough statement, yeah.
And age maybe isn't on his side. How old is he? Like 26, 27? Or is he a bit younger than that?
So I think he's 26.
Yeah.
Maybe 25.
Which is fine.
So like
fine,
but like, but it's also a little bit of a worrying age to get like big injuries like that. And yeah, but anyway. I think
could one day be world
I think
class.
In a year's time we could be talking about him as world class. If he like he
stays
could,
fit.
Like, I think he is capable of hitting 15 Premier League goals a season. I think Luis Diaz, like, he is capable of that. And if you're capable of that as a left winger, like, you have to be in the conversation.
Yeah, there's competition for his place is the only thing. Like Jota, Darwin can play on the left as well. Gakpo as well.
Yeah.
But like,
I think he is first choice when everyone's fully fit and on form. He'd be in that side.
I think that's that's just unfortunate because like he happens to play at the club which probably has the best forward depth in world football.
Yeah.
I still think he's clearly their best left winger.
Maybe Bayern, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so for now, no, he is not world class. John Stones from Omar. I think it's Omar Alabjabi. I'm so sorry, 97. I've only just briefly looked at the name. John Stones, in his 8th year at Man City, now playing DM when he's fit. People, Joe last year said he's the best centre-back in the world.
Yeah.
I think when he's fit, he's right up there. I just don't think he's fit enough. I don't think he hasn't started more than 23 league games in a season since joining Man City. Like, that is...
Would every team in the world want to buy him? I think yes.
Probably.
Has he got the trophy cabinet?
Yes.
Has he been good on the international stage?
Yes.
When he's playing, is he not sometimes the best player on the pitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, that fits the category.
I think we have a compelling case, but it's just the fitness record. It's just the fitness record. Even last year, he played really well in the back half of the year, but he still didn't play that much in the first half.
I think his performances for when he is fit, and it's not like he's played 5 games a season.
No.
Like, he is still
to be
playing.
Fair, you are right. It's always around 20 league games.
Yeah.
Difficult. What do you think, McCubs?
I feel like we've said a lot of English players are world class this episode.
I
feel like our quota, we might be filling up our quota a bit. But England do genuinely have, like, on paper, one of the best squads in the world. John Stones, we didn't even mention him earlier in those conversation around centre back. It's having said that centre back is a weak position. Actually, finding like John Stones fitting into that top 5 is tough. Like, it is really tough. But I think in terms of where he's at, he's been at Man City since 2016.
One of his first signings.
Yeah. Equally in that time, Pep, even without the injuries, Pep has dropped him. But I don't know, man. Like, he is, and then on the international stage, he's easily been one of the best centre backs in the world for years. Like, in terms of his performances for his country. Gosh.
We need a call.
Do I give...
I'm saying no.
I'm going to say... I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
2-1.
There's the
he's shown a
All right.
especially in terms of his performances over the last 12 months. I think he gets in.
Well, I think we still got about 10 players to get through, so let's try and do that as quickly as we can. There are a few that we need to probably have a bit more of a debate about. This one is from Mesity. Andy Robertson, is he world class right now?
Right now is an interesting stipulation on that, isn't it? He was clearly world class. He was probably the best left back in the world for 3 years in that sort of period up to 2020, maybe 2021.
He's playing a different role nowadays.
Playing a different role. I think he's good at it. I don't know whether he's necessarily world class at it.
He's also had fitness issues as well.
He's had fitness issues. I don't know whether he is anymore.
If I name the 5
who are the other
best left backs in the world,
Theo
Hernandez, Alphonso Davies.
Yeah, he's not as good as them at the moment, I don't think.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
So maybe he is.
DeMarco.
Federico DiMarco has been really good.
Yeah, he's probably up. He is up there actually.
Who's playing left back for Barcelona nowadays?
Balde.
No.
Probably not
quite there.
Yeah, he probably still is, courtesy of left back, like right wing being quite a weak position, I think.
Zinchenko last year would have been up there, wasn't he?
Okay.
I don't know. I think Liverpool fans might be quite angry with that. I mean, do you guys think he's operating?
I think I've seen a lot of. I think we've had talks and seen Liverpool fans talk about how he has been in decline. I think a lot of people have said maybe they are looking.
Everyone's not going to come from my head on that. Okay,
they are looking at maybe what is the future for that side of the pitch for Liverpool.
Tsimikas has always been very good, hasn't he?
Tsimikas playing really well as well. What do you guys think? Am I being mental?
I feel like when I first looked at it, that the idea in my head was no. That he was world class right now, no. But when we kind of think about, I guess, the other left backs out there in the world, maybe he is still there. It's an interesting one. I feel right now I'm trying to think of other left backs maybe that I'm forgetting.
I mean, his expected assists per 90 this season have fallen to 0.14, and I know he's playing a different role, but that's his lowest since his Hull days. He's got 8 assists in his last 42 league games. So the thing that he was world class at, I think, particularly was going forward, his energy. His delivery was also excellent when he got to the byline after making like a 60-metre run. Like, he never really let you down on that front, and he's now not doing what the best part of his game was.
But also, you're saying
because of the role.
8 assists, and we're not looking into underlying numbers here, to be fair. And I can't but I mean, I guess we are in terms of expected assists. But 8 assists in 42 league games is still great for a left back. That's still great.
Just over. That's a season and a bit.
If that's his like lowest level,
whilst playing
like we talk about Bruno Fernandes. Like I think he makes it.
It's a good point. Well made. Let's get him in.
Stamped. Andy Robertson, you are still world class, my friend.
According to us, everyone's world class.
Casual Scout 78, Gabriel Martinelli. Is he world class?
Not yet.
Now.
No.
Not yet, but could definitely be on his way to it.
So it's super exciting, but not right now.
Super fun. An interesting one here. Uras Mataz. Phil Foden. Is he world class?
Super exciting, but not right now.
Again, just too much competition in that position.
Mind you, we did say Odegaard and Bruno Fernandes were.
Yeah, but I don't think Phil Foden's been consistently
maybe a bigger impact.
I think a lot of Chelsea fans, a lot of Man City, I don't think Chelsea fans will care at all. A lot of Man City fans would take umbrage if we call Odegaard world class, but not Phil Foden.
They can do that, mate. What they're going to do, all 10 of them going to come at us.
I don't think
I think Phil Foden's closer to than Odegaard, for what it's worth.
All right. I'm going to say
I think they're close, but I'm saying no.
Yeah. I also want to see Phil Foden do it for England.
Yeah.
Yet to
become
see that as well.
Again, that's
a key man debate with Phil Foden.
It is a bit harsh, but
65 goals and 45 assists is pretty amazing for Man City. Like, it is amazing. Like, maybe I am being harsh, but
But we just said 0.4 goals and assists per game is good, but not exceptional for Gabriel Martinelli. And that is the same rate that Phil Foden's
been around for longer, though. I think Phil Foden's closer to the level than Martinelli, mainly because maybe it's just because Martinelli's had a quiet season so far. I do love Martinelli. And when he's also like, do you not just feel like, there has been games, but I'm also yet to see the like big impacts in consistency.
Yeah, he had a really good Champions League campaign when they
did it against
the final.
He's done it against United.
Yeah, he's got a great record
against United. There have been games even this year in the Champions League where he's been excellent. I know what you mean.
It's an interesting one. I mean, again, up for debate on that one. Let us know in the comments below. Why so Sam? Christian Romero won the World Cup. Was Serie A's best defender back in 2022. Yeah. Is he world class?
I don't think. I think with the centre back, like we were talking.
Didn't we?
Sorry,
we named 5.
We named 5, and also we need. I think Romero has world class ability. like you need to do it for like a good 3-4 seasons, I think, really. And Romero, yes, amazing. That season at Atalanta before he went to Spurs was amazing, but his first season at Spurs wasn't so good. This season he looks brilliant, but like just needs more. We need more from him.
No.
Does every club in the world buy him?
He's only ever played 7 Champions League games. We talked about dominating.
I think in terms of his age profile, I think a lot of clubs should have come in for him when Spurs did. I think they should have. Like his all round ability is really hard to argue with. In terms of aerial ability.
But does his discipline come into it as well?
Discipline comes into it a lot.
4 red cards in 50 Premier League games is way too many. Way too many. More than any other player since he joined the league. That is a problem. I know Spurs fans don't like to talk about it because it has improved, but it's still a problem.
Has improved. He is currently out for
he's suspended. A crucial part of the season. They just lost against Wolves. It's a massive issue.
Again, casual scout 78. Enzo Fernandes again won the World Cup. Is he world class? Probably not.
I don't think. Yeah,
don't think
he's getting there.
Don't think he's in. I actually think he's not been as good as he was was year.
Yeah,
I think
he was
Chelsea.
brilliant at Chelsea originally, wasn't he?
Took a lot of flack for saying he was slightly overrated.
Playing in a different position as well because he's not being as creative as he was. But yeah, I think right now when he is up against the likes of a Kevin De Bruyne and stuff, he's just
super exciting talent.
Yeah, super young as well. Maybe has.
And he's also been hamstrung by the fact that he cost 106 million off the back of the World Cup, but was the young player of the World Cup, was brilliant at the World Cup, has so much to his game as both like a deep lying midfielder and going forward. Like if Chelsea, if Poch can get it right at Chelsea, he will absolutely be in there in the next 2 years, I think.
Interesting.
And he's rarely put a foot wrong in his career so far. Like, was amazing at Benfica, and like this time last year, Benfica were genuinely one of the best teams in Europe. So I think. Sorry, I know. Yeah, I think he'll be there. Like he's on the cusp. I think. I think he's slightly underrated because the price tag was so big and he's got so much to live up to. Like I think Enzo will be there.
Okay, Yak Westbrook, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Can Yak Westbrook seriously take himself offline for a while? How can you possibly suggest Aaron Wan-Bissaka?
I think his argument was in a one-on-one defensive scenario.
Have you had beef with this guy before or something?
No, never.
No, I'm pretty sure his argument was in a one-on-one.
He needs a
situation.
timeout.
He's all right.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's good fun. Cheers, though.
He's a great one-on-one defender, mate.
He's a great one-on-one defender. The rest of his game.
Put him up against Zaha every game, and he's world class.
Kasper Lars. I think we kind of had this argument already, and then it means that he's ruled out of it. Emi Martinez, is he world class? No.
Can you say he's the most overrated player in world football or something?
Something like that, yeah. I do think he is. I do think he's massively overrated. He has been great for Argentina, there's no doubt in it. But just don't think he's anywhere close to the best goalkeeper in the world, which is what so many people say online because he won the World Cup and did that stupid celebration.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's the reason.
I really hated that celebration.
We didn't have him in the conversation, did we, earlier?
No, we didn't. Okay, let's move on. Let's do these two at the same time. Another right-back situation. We've spoken about a bunch. We've kind of given them all already world-class status, so someone's got to drop out. I guess one of them can be considered midfielder. From Jake Albarise and Sohan H06, Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold, respectively.
Reece James, sadly, absolutely not. Just because of his fitness record.
I can agree to that.
If you can't trust someone to stay fit for longer than 5 games at a time, then he's obviously got the ability. Chelsea captain now in a down period for Chelsea, but he just isn't fit enough.
Yeah,
isn't fit enough.
No arguments really. We'll see what. Obviously, he's fit at the moment, playing pretty well. Actually, played well against City. We'll see what happens.
Brilliant against City.
See if he can play another 5 games, and maybe there might be an argument. Trent Alexander-Arnold, then, is he a midfielder? Is he a right back? How do we class this?
Well, I think if you're playing the majority of your games in one position, then you're probably that position, and he's still a right back because he's playing more games at right back. I think if we gave Trippier world-class status, we absolutely have to give Trent world-class status as well because of his ability on the ball. And he might not be as well-rounded.
Are really good.
He's got so much in the bank.
He's so much in the bank, and he's been performing at almost at a level that we've never seen from a Premier League right-back going forward.
From so young as well.
From pretty much, from his debut pretty much. So I think he's definitely world-class. I think if I was building a team, I'd probably get Kyle Walker in ahead of him. But that's no disrespect to Trent. He's just a slightly more well-rounded player.
Yeah.
Or you Klopp, or you build it around him.
Yeah,
Like
or you play a very
around
defensive left back that tucks in, like a Gvardiol or someone.
Yeah.
He'd be
Okay.
great for Man City.
Well,
Although maybe him and Kevin De Bruyne were getting stuck in the same area. Anyway, I'm sure they could work it out.
there we have it. That is our world class or not world class. Let us
Bumper
know
episode.
all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. What an episode of Sunday Vibes that is. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Just before we go, I've sadly got some, at least for me, sad news.
It's very sad.
Sad for us as well. Very incredibly sad for us.
I will be leaving Football Daily after 8 years. I actually think it might be my last video, to be quite honest. Maybe next week, if something happens, I might be on one. But I think that is it for my time at FD. It's actually very sad for me to say that because it's been the best thing I've ever done in my entire life.
And you started,
man.
you started in the cot pretty much.
Yeah, I was
like a baby.
18 years old. Been lots
Straight out of WH Smith.
been lots of ups. I mean, I've had honestly the greatest time I could ever have in my entire life. Met some amazing people who I consider my really good mates, best mates. Joe and Pat. And you too, of course. And everybody that I've worked with in Football Daily. It's been incredible. Yeah, man, it's actually really sad for me to say that, because I think for a part of me, it always felt like I'd be here forever.
I think it's worth saying. I don't know.
I thought you'd be here forever.
In many ways, like Zach is like the true success story of Football Daily. Like no disrespect to people that work at WH Smith or something, but getting a job on the back of working at WH Smith in the football industry at 18, presenting at World Cups, presenting for the club he supports, like it's an amazing success story, and he's an incredible editor, producer, presenter, like a real all-round package. So I think you're going freelance for now, aren't you?
That is the plan. Yeah, that is the plan. And look, the hope is to still as well do content with the boys. Like I'm going to try and do some stuff as well. Get a lot of the old faces that you've seen too back as well. Try and create some stuff. I just think it's time. I think it's time to do that and take the next step. And thank you guys so much as well for the last 8 years, whether you've wanted me sacked or whether you wanted me or giving me compliments. It's all good fun. And everyone we've ever met. And just thank you so much for giving. I always said when I was younger, when I was 13, 12, I just wanted to make YouTube videos. That's all I ever wanted to do. And I did that since 18.
Mate, I saw, mate, I think before you privatised them, I did see some of your pod videos from when you were 12 years old. I think, more so than anyone, like Duke's saying, you've actually grown up on FD. People have actually
seen me
people have
grow
actually
up,
watched you go from a child to an adult in quite a short space of time. Actually,
8
what
years,
was mad was when I joined Football Daily, you were only 19, and I was in my early 20s as well. But I was God, this guy is a kid. This guy's a kid. But then within 2 years, I was oh, this guy has actually become a more mature adult than I was at that age. So absolute testament to you, mate. Your come up was quick and
several
relentless.
gloves.
Yeah, it was
several
relentless,
gloves
mate.
as well.
Relentless. Yeah.
And a lot of different looks, a lot of different hairstyles.
Man.
But guys, thank you so much from bottom of my heart.
I think it's also worth saying, obviously the viewers would have noticed that a lot of people have left Football Daily. Yeah. We are slightly tied in what we can say, but we will try and bring you more clarity on what is happening in the next couple of weeks, because you guys do deserve that.
Yeah, you do. Again, through my 8 years, we've had, I know so many consistent viewers, people that come back, new viewers, you've supported us in everything we've done. You've given us chances to go and do some crazy stuff, like going to South Africa, going to the World Cup, going to Bali. Had some amazing experiences. Yeah, thank you guys.
When did South Africa happen?
Was it not South Africa? Ivory Coast, sorry.
Ivory Coast,
yourself. Apologies. Sorry.
I was who went there? Great.
Sorry. Yeah, apologies. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. So for one final time, if you enjoyed the video, click the like button. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Subscribe to Football Daily if you're not already. And the boys might see you next week, but I don't think I will. Lovely. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.